but there has been reactions online in regards to this commercial. Let's head on over to X, pull it up right now. Like I stated, man, it's going to be hard for fans to.
It's, one of the best ads of the year, and there was one that we wanted to highlight, but there was a Nike ad. It's the first Super Bowl ad in 27 years and featured a load of female athletes, including, one of the biggest episodes we've ever done, in Caitlin Clark.
Nike just released a brand new commercial featuring Caitlin Clark and her new Kobe shoe that she released today.
It began like a scene out of a movie directed by Christopher Nolan. A lone individual, spooky silence, and dim illumination. Sitting by herself, Caitlin Clark is putting on her black and gold Kobe 5s as if she were going to pull a coup. Then it takes place. Her gaze changes. Literally, not symbolically. They creep into icy reptilian crevices. A clear reference to Kobe Bryant's persona as Mamba. It wasn't an advertisement for basketball. This was a change, a possession of cinema. Caitlin Clark wasn't merely taking Kobe's place. She was like a legendary sports vampire, soaking up his legacy. Nike achieved something no other company has ever dared to do for a female athlete in those chilly seconds. Make her the antagonist, not the good-natured underdog. The ad exuded prestige, featuring the new apex predator, the cold-blooded assassin, rather than the franchise's token female face. Check out the dramatic score. Hollywood visual effects. Yes, indeed. You could suffocate on symbolism. Of course. Additionally, it wasn't subtle for the first time in WNBA history. Nike didn't request authorization. The world was challenged to blink when they crowned her queen. And they blinked. The culture battle erupted shortly after the teaser was posted to social media. A few admirers were amazed. Others were completely terrified. Was this a tribute or a theft? Or was it hubris? Like hyenas, the critics charged that Nike was creating excitement, insulting legends, and elevating a novice to a god. However, one thing was indisputable. Caitlin Clark had changed from being a mere player. The game was her. Additionally, Nike had just presented her with a serpent's crown. This was only the beginning of the mayhem. First, though, if you believe the referees are treating the fever unfairly, please like this video. If you disagree, leave a comment and remember to subscribe.
That just came out, man. It's been out for about 30 minutes. Broke the damn internet. Everybody's retweeting, talking about it. It got nearly 100,000 views, I'm pretty sure.
They finally did. And a lot of people thought that when Nike were talking up, they were going to be, talking up, like Caitlin might have been getting her signature shoe. They might have been talking up potentially Caitlin getting that signature shoe. And it would have been really cool if Caitlin got her signature shoe. But let's be real, that was never happening.
It wasn't a release when the shoes fell. An extinction event occurred. The debut took place on Nike's infamously cursed SNKRS app, and within 5 minutes, it was over. 13,000 pairs vanished into thin air. The Kobe 5s worth $190 are gone. Before the last image of the advertisement even faded, eBay was overflowing with listings and resale prices had tripled. With some sizes skyrocketing above $800, StockX glowed like Wall Street on steroids. Not since this type of capitalist frenzy was sparked by the original Jordan ones, which had a rookie shoe. People still didn't understand it, though. Now, the same group of people who had grumbled that Clark hadn't merited a signature drop were rushing to purchase two. One to show off, one to sell, one to gain influence, and one to simply state that I was present. The demand wasn't made up. Corporate manipulation wasn't involved. It was brutally honest, unplanned, and unvarnished. When a new icon is created, it appears like this. Not with cheers, but with bloodshed. While sneakerheads fought for fame, a more sinister development was taking place on the internet. The criticism arrived quickly, loudly, and predictably. How about Wilson, AA? It's too early. She has not yet taken any action. Naturally, Kobe would never give his approval. It's odd because Kobe, a well-known women's basketball champion, did frequently express approval. However, the truth didn't matter. The facts weren't being contested by the naysayers. They were battling an uncontrollable future. A time in the future when Caitlin Clark wasn't holding back. It was her turn.
I don't think that commercial is elevating Caitlin Clark. I think it's elevating Kobe Bryant.
I think it is. I think they're trying to pass a torch in a way and make a comparison that seems really clumsy to me. But I think it comes back to this idea.
The old guard's collective gasp was nearly audible. For someone who is too new, this is too much and too quick. We don't like the rules changing without our permission, however, was what they meant. Almost instantly, the timeline was inundated with hot takes, subtweets, and tidal waves. Oh, the anger was new, but the arguments were old. She is overvalued. No ring has been won by her. She is nothing more than hype. Here's the issue, though. The evidence is the hype. It wasn't sports purists who made the loudest criticisms. They belonged to gatekeepers, who were incensed that a young, white female athlete was controlling an area they hadn't planned for her to occupy. Additionally, they omitted her name in typical cowardly fashion. They made a suggestion. They made an implication. They created rivalries when none were there. An unwitting pawn in a narrative war was a Wilson, a WNBA legend in her own right. Her followers used her quiet as a weapon in a phony competition for attention, mistaking it for shade. Clark, meantime, was occupied with something no amount of hatred could stop. Winning, selling out arenas, driving up viewership, and completely upending sneaker culture, all with hardly uttering a word. The haters grew increasingly unimportant the more they screamed. Since this wasn't really about a shoe in the end, who gets to define greatness was at issue. Additionally, the door had just been kicked off its hinges by Caitlin Clark. If you're already in awe of this story, just think of what's going to happen next. Stay put. We have only just reached the point at which Nike employees began to distrust their own company. Additionally, please share your ideas in the comments section. This discussion is far from finished.
About Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization, and it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you two different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%.
Nike stock is in the tank. Sales are in the tank. They got some CEO they just forced into
Chaos was breaking out at Nike headquarters as fans were burning their credit cards in hopes of winning the Mamba Caitlin 5s. The story of paralysis, infighting, and lost opportunity lay behind the cinematic flair and record-breaking sellouts. Nike had been slow-moving and underplaying what would turn out to be the most significant women's sports marketing event in decades for months. Why? So they were frightened, fearful of criticism, fearful of media attention, and fearful of choosing the incorrect lady in a league full of skill and conflict. Then the floodgates opened. In an intense expose that resembled a trial indictment more than a LinkedIn post, Jordan Rogers, a 15-year Nike worker, publicly burned his former company. He claimed that Nike was treating her like a public relations liability and that they had the biggest influencer in American sports since Michael Jordan. He revealed the brand's fearful hesitancy, fixation on either-or politics, and inability to treat Clark with the same respect that male celebrities are frequently accorded. This was an identity problem rather than a commercial dispute. As Wilson Ball, Gatorade, and State Farm dove headfirst into the Caitlin Clark economy, Nike was too preoccupied with overcoming its own apprehension about Twitter conversation. And it was evident. Initially, Clark was pushed into a Super Bowl commercial among 9 other women, none of whom shared her cultural significance. Then followed the mishandled launch delays, the misunderstanding about the trademark shoe, and the passive-aggressive rumors from opposing factions. However, a 5-minute sellout and 1 renegade employee were ultimately necessary to push Nike's hand. The struggle within had ended. Clark had prevailed. Ignore the hype, put aside opinions, and focus on the facts. Caitlin Clark didn't simply enter the WNBA, rather, she blew it up. 1.09 million people watched her games against the Indiana Fever. That is a revival, not a boost. Games other than Clark, a pitiful 414,000. At the same time, league attendance increased by 105%, with Clark alone accounting for an astounding 33.5% of all WNBA attendance. She became the focal point of the league in 41 games. the impact on local businesses was even more unbelievable. These days, hotels, eateries, and entire downtown areas base their profit projections on Clark's travel itinerary. This is not a famous person. Infrastructure is this. She is doing more than just staring at displays. She is cashing registers and placing booths on pavements. It is referred to as the Caitlin Clark stimulus package by economists. It's finally a reason to grow a spine, according to Nike. Once deemed exorbitant, her $28 million Nike deal today seems absurdly small. That ROI is Jordan-like, and she's only just beginning. With 18.9 million viewers, her collegiate finale destroyed the men's championship. Within minutes, her shirt sells out. Her sneakers cause riots on the internet. The argument is over. She embodies the market, the movement, and the moment, all wrapped in a single lightning rod with a moving logo. And it's okay if it makes you uneasy. Line up.
You can't be demanding. You can't be relentless. You can't put yourself first. So, put yourself first. You can't be confident, so be confident.
Finally delivers Caitlin Clark PE. Is this the first Caitlin Clark exclusive Nike commercial since she's entered the WNBA? I know she's made a cameo here.
It was more than just a shoe in the end. A blinking neon sign that read, "The old rules don't apply anymore," served as a reset button. Women's sports were viewed as charity for many years. Afterthought endorsements, additional tales, and bonus content. However, Caitlin Clark broke that script. She is not an accompaniment. She is the chef, the main dish, and the reason the restaurants are so busy. Nike completely changed the rules of sports marketing with a single ad and a single, groundbreaking release. They began printing profits instead of speculating on possibilities. The same business that used to skirt the WNBA is now focusing its empire on a 22-year-old who makes half-court threes seem easy. And the industry as a whole rushing. Under Armour, Adidas, and Reebok. They are now under notice. The days of perhaps next year are past. The Caitlin Clark economy is currently like this. This is the worst part. She hasn't even released her signature sneaker yet. When it happens, anticipate more mayhem, more breakdowns, and more record-singing debuts since basketball is no longer the only topic of discussion. It has to do with cultural domination. And after all of its setbacks and delays, Nike has finally figured out how to win. The detractors implied. The advertisement went viral. And Nike eventually understood the message someplace in Oregon. Don't wait for approval. Just do as the Queen says. Caitlin Clark will not be attending. She is present. And this is just the start. Additionally, click the subscribe button if you wish to remain ahead of the mayhem. We're going over every angle of the Caitlin Clark period. The dominance, the drama, the deals. Because this is more than just the beginning of history.